Yo, what's going on, y'all? Welcome into Cardinalytics, an Arizona Cardinals podcast hosted by fans for the fans here on October 2nd, 2024. A couple days removed from whatever that was on Sunday from the Arizona Cardinals. That was interesting overall. Cliff Kingsbury returns to his very first head coaching job of the Arizona Cardinals and absolutely takes a dump on the Arizona Cardinals. 42-14 with the hands of Jaden Daniels, Dan Quinn coaching the defense. It was a nasty day. We'll get into it all. Before we get into it, got my co-host with me, Shaw, Jake. How you boys feeling today?
Depressed. But literally just realized that I guess I have on an LSU hoodie. I mean, I fuck with Jaden, but feel very, very upset that we lost this week.
Yeah, the pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Pretty disappointed. Just pretty depressed for the first few days of the week. Especially just thinking about this next game, of course, on the road at San Fran. But yeah, I mean that game was just depressing. It just kills your will because like we've all been like us three and like the rest of the fan, like the diehards in the fan base, like we knew last year was a wash. We suffered through the season. Like year before wasn't great. Obviously, Kyler's injury, and then you get to this year, like through the first two games, looked super promising. Even game 3, you're thinking like, all right, like yeah, not a great game, but like Lions got some calls, and we were right there, and like still a couple plays away from being 3-0. And then I'm not gonna lie, like after watching that Monday night game of Washington against Cincy, like I wasn't feeling great. Like a game that had once been an absolute lock of a win, like layup of a game, became like a little bit more worrisome. So honestly, there was like that like dark passenger inside me just being like, I don't know about this game. But of course, still absolutely hammered the Cardinals in the sports book and tried to get myself to believe. And obviously, yeah, like you go out, you score the first drive and feeling pretty good, and then just get 21 or 24 points.
24.
24-point run is just like
Insane.
yeah, like brutal.
Absolutely.
So it was depressing, man. Like I was at my aunt's too with a bunch of family, like for a kind of a going away party for my girlfriend and I, and like so I didn't even like trying to watch and like Sunday Ticket on my phone, so that was brutal. It was just honestly like the worst situation. So yeah, not too happy, but obviously we've all had some time to digest, and all you can do is keep moving forward. So it's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
Well, you may be wondering where I have gone. Yep, it's the first time of the year.
Let's go.
They absolutely robbed us of our time on Sunday. And he's back. I didn't expect to bring this out for the first time this early in the season. Definitely hoping that I would be able to save this. Maybe not even pull it out, but first one of the year, first robbery of the year that they gave us. Yeah, I don't know what the hell that was. Personally, my opinion was just how flat you look, and on top of that, like defensively, kind of knew a performance like that was coming. You didn't expect it from the Commanders that was going to happen, but it came and it happened. Offensively, though, the last 2 weeks, what are we doing? What are we doing? I just want to start there offensively. So I think we all know here that that's the bread and butter of this football team. That is the way that this football team will make the playoffs if they are able to. And back-to-back weeks, you're only able to put up 14 points and 13 points versus two defenses who, the Lions, they look like a pretty good defense, but they also did just give up 20-something points to the Seahawks. And then the Commanders defense who had already given up 9 passing touchdowns on the season, and they come in and absolutely shut your passing game down. And I think the biggest thing for me personally offensively is you don't quite know what can be fixed. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. Let me put this first notion out here. There is no such thing as inflated stats when you're talking about encompassing 4 total weeks of a season. So let's just remove the Rams game. Let's stop talking about that being inflating stats for people. It encompasses Kyler's entire body of work. It's not just one game. And then offense as well. It goes for the entire body of work. So when I see Kyler Murray still top 5 in a lot of EPA stuff, A lot of advanced metrics, he's top 5, and he may not be yards and touchdowns and totals and stuff like that, but protecting the football, throwing, accuracy wise, all that, it's there. It's been there. Offensive line, apparently, efficiency rating, top 5 unit so far in the season, and a lot of people had a lot of criticism towards them this last game, but clearly, still an efficient group when it comes to being there. Obviously, right tackle, we'll talk about it. Has been an issue for this team, but we'll go into the news that we also got. But as well as Drew Petzing, a lot of people were on his head top, including myself. You go through my timeline on Twitter, I was absolutely disgusted by what I saw from him. But you go on, again, another efficiency rating. He's another top 10 coordinator. So I asked my co-host here as I slowly remove the mask because I can't breathe anymore. What direction does this offense go in to find itself? Is it Kyler getting back on track? Does Kyler have to play how he played against the Rams to have full-on success in the season? Does Drew Petzing have to find more ways to get everybody the ball, everybody involved, everything going on? Or is it just if this offense doesn't put up 28 points or if this offense doesn't have a good enough day, that the team will find itself in a losing matter because of the defensive efforts? I would love to hear from you boys on what you just think what happened on Sunday and just the outlook for the offense going on as the season goes on.
I feel like real quick, just to talk about Sunday, before I get to answer your question, I just want to point out the most upsetting thing that came out of Sunday to me. Because I'm still I'm not ready to push the panic button on the offense and on the team in general. I've seen a lot of people already saying that we've been told a lie. And to a degree, it did not look good this past weekend. So I don't blame them to a degree, but I'm not ready to push the panic button yet. But the most disappointing thing that I saw was just the effort level and the emotion and the response of the players and the coaches. I don't know if they just, figured that, okay, Washington coming in at home, we played against the Lions, we played against the Bills, we just gonna handle them like how we handled the Rams. I don't know if that's what kind of they thought was gonna go down, but at no point did it seem like anybody took any sort of urgency or it seemed like had any sort of urgency when they were playing the game. You see the camera pan over to JG, he's just emotionless. I don't understand. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It just looked like they took the day off. It looked like they took the weekend off.
Mm-hmm.
As far as going into fixing the offense, I feel like we really need to find out what is the identity of this offense. I thought it was the run game. I feel like we all thought it was the run game. And if that's the case, you need to lean into that. Is it the run game? Is it Kyler? Is it Marv? Whatever it is, you need to figure out what it is and you need to lean into it and be successful. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what this past weekend was, but I mean, you start off the game. We've started off every single game with a touchdown. And you see guys like Marv getting involved. You see guys or you see Howard running the ball with James Conner in multiple ways. But then it just seems like everything gets watered down as the game goes on, and there's no either adjustment or we go away from what was working.
Mm-hmm.
We need to figure out what's working and just keep doing it. I mean, I feel like it's that simple. But I don't know. Drew, Petzing, I'm talking to you. Figure it out.
Go ahead, Jake. Talk to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's a pretty brutal week. For me, it's the most frustrating part is just the lack of decisiveness. It's like you said, are we a run heavy team? Are we not? And it feels like we get in these games and Petzing has a great script. His first 20 plays are usually really nice and everyone's on the same page. The offense is clicking. And then after that script runs out, it literally feels like nothing has changed since Kingsbury left. It's a lot of negative plays, running the ball on second and third and long situations. And dude, it's frustrating. Marv is the number one receiver in the league this year in multiple categories in the first quarter. And it's dude, he's still like these elite receivers, and he's proven that he is, right? Like we were all critical in week 1, rightfully so. But after that, like, dude, if you look at the advanced stats, like Marv has been a dog. Like he had a quiet like touchdown game, obviously because it got overshadowed by everything else last week. Like you said, he scored in every game but week 1. You got to feed the guy though. Like we had the same, or at least I had the same complaints when we had Hopkins in his prime. It's like these coordinators don't want to feel like, oh, it's just this one guy. Like we're not gonna like just win games just utilizing one guy. But it's like, dude, that's what the Niners are doing. That's what the Cowboys are doing. Like they're feeding the stars, and the stars are the ones that are winning games. And like that's the way it should be. So yeah, Marv probably does deserve 15 plus targets a game. Like saw like a bite from Petzing's presser about like he doesn't want to feel like he's forcing the ball to Marv. It's just like bullshit, dude. It's like that's clearly,
what do you have him for?
Right. What do you have him for? And like that's clearly the only thing that's working. So like Greg Dortch, I'm extremely disappointed in. I would blame it more on the scheme than Dortch, but like, and I think it's because like teams have like figured out the perfect zone coverage against us. But like he's like 78th in the league in separation this year, which is wild because in camp all you heard was he's unguardable, and that he'd be the best player of all time if he was 6 feet tall. So I don't know what's going on there. And then like Michael Wilson has been solid, like what you expect out of him, like a fringy wide receiver too, but like can stand in there and get popped and like welcome the contact and pop back up and do it again. Trey McBride is a huge loss. But yeah, I want to be decisive. Like I'm not saying you like go into a game saying this is what we're going to do. We're just going to keep doing it regardless of what happens. But like if you get into a game and like the run's not working, then all right, let's instantly start just throwing the ball. And like once we start picking up some first downs, then boom, we'll hit him with a run when the box is light. But like it just feels like when Petzing runs out of that script, he just sucks. Like he's like awful. Like basically as good as like we could do out there. So it's frustrating to watch, man. Like I don't blame Kyler. I know a lot of the fan base is like already like hates him again, like whatever. I don't blame Kyler for everything. I do think that he could be, and yeah, he's said it many times. They've told us like he's not this like rah outgoing guy, but like maybe that's what it's gonna take. Like maybe you need to make like this cool as a cat guy just like lose his shit at some point and just fucking like fire the team up, man. Like I'm so just frustrated with like Corey. Obviously you're wearing the mask for a reason. Like they did rob us of our time. It looked like every single guy on that team, literally every single one outside of like respectfully Buda Baker, just didn't really give a shit. Like it was like the game was over when we turned it over and they kicked that field goal to go into halftime. JG, like I haven't said a single bad thing about the guy until now. Like he's got to figure it out. Like you gotta get a little bit more animated on the sideline. You got to get in some guys' faces. You got to get in the ref's ear.
Bro, I can't stand the blank looks, bro. Like when you just look like
that's like Cliff.
Like everything's all right. I can't stand it. Even at least like Cliff, sometimes he'll look stressed out, right? Like JG don't look stressed at all. Like he's just blank face. It's like I can't stand it.
It feels like with JG that it's like when you look at him and he has that like blank stare and we're getting smoked. It's like you almost feel like he thinks he's like smarter than everyone and like, oh no, like we expected this. Like it's like, you know, we have this like overarching plan. Like it always seems like in his pressers and everything, like he has this like master plan. It's like I like the guy. Like I think he's like changed the culture a lot outside of last week. But it's like, dude, at some point, like you gotta show a little bit of emotion because like we've all seen a million head coaches come and go, and like, you know, like digging into the history books and like studying the wars and like ancient battles and things is all cool and fun when you're winning, but like when you're losing games, it's the act gets a little tired. So I'll leave it at that. But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. I know before I finish up with my comments, so for offensively, I know Dana chipped in. She said 3rd and 15 was a screen pass. Eric, I mean, I found it funny that was like one of the first times I ever saw a screen pass was on that. Like, I mean, again, like you're just trying to get off the field, you're trying to make it reasonable, but like those type of plays where you make it. Go ahead.
I said I didn't even think it was in the playbook.
Yeah, exactly. Like those type of plays where literally, like again, I mean, I see charts and datas and graphs about quote unquote easy button plays and stuff like that, and you're at the bottom of the list. That's to me, that just doesn't really make any sense when you have the amount of weapons that can get to the perimeter. As you mentioned, Shaw, you mentioned there is no deep threat on this team. I could agree with you on that. So what's the best way to create deep threats and create chances is by getting to the perimeter as fast as possible. And I just, for some reason, those plays not being there, those easy plays where you can just dump it off and let people put a couple blockers out there. I mean, Paris Johnson is athletic as hell as a left tackle. Like Will Hernandez, athletic. Froho, athletic. Put those guys in space. Let Greg Dortch get behind them and make DBs get past them so he can tackle them. Like it's that simple when it comes to stuff like that. And not seeing that it doesn't really make any sense to me. She also mentioned this, which is what I'm about to bring up. She said, brought this up with me on Twitter. Some of Petsing's play designs aren't built right to force movement and allow an easy read for K1. As she mentioned, Kurt Warner had a good example of Stick's concept. He play broke down, and I actually mentioned this as well when I think I saw Buffalo when I think it was the strip sack, I think for Kyler, where both McBride and Higgins, I think, ran the same route. They both cut the route out at the same depth, and there was absolutely nobody to throw it to. Like those type of stuff, like when your route concepts aren't built correctly and allows one person to guard two people at one time when sometimes a route it just needs to be thrown right away. That to me, I really don't know what's going on with this passing game. Drew Terrell, I think, is a really bright coach. He's worked with a lot of the younger players, and especially like he worked in the Shrine Bowl. I think he was one of their main offensive coordinators in the Shrine Bowl. Drew Petzing's a smart person. He's been in every single position group that there is in the NFL to have. He's been with quarterbacks. I don't know if he's been with the running backs, but he's been with the tight end, offensive line, wide receivers. He was a wide receiver coach when Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen were having the most success in Minnesota. So I'm really confused on their ability to create a passing game that is developed on. If it's built so much on timing, why does my quarterback continue to pump fake the throws immediately if he feels somebody isn't open? So I don't know. To me, that it's just not really making a lot of sense. Greg, you also chimed in, but for some reason I can't see that emoji. I don't know what type of emoji that is.
Hopefully it's a salute emoji. What's up, Greg?
I wish it would have been a middle finger because that's what Drew Petzing deserves. But go ahead.
No, I want to say real quick to that too. Like it's it's a balance, right? Like I feel like Cliff's when we had Cliff and Kyler, like it was more so like we're just gonna trust our playmakers to make plays. Like we don't care how we get to them, we're just gonna trust them to make plays. With Drew in this regime, it's more scheme driven, it's more methodical, you know what I'm saying? But there's not really like the easy stuff. Like you watch the games against us when we're defending. We give guys on third downs easy out routes and to take them. We don't ever take the easy out route. Like it's a balance in terms of scheming stuff up and then just taking what the defense is giving you. You don't necessarily have to dial up a perfect play if the defense is like, hey, we're going to give you this third down if you just because we're backing off of the receiver so much. Like there was one play that I saw from last week where I think the defender was like 15 yards away from Marv, and it could have just been an easy out route to throw him the ball to convert the first down. But instead, we're running something where like she says, like it's not an easy read for Kyler. Like he's looking someplace else where the easy open play is on the other side of the field or it's right there. So I feel like it's a balance that they got to figure it out because it's not hard. It's as DJ Moore said last year when he was playing with Justin Fields, it's pitch and catch. That's all it is. All it is pitch and catch. The guys are open. We just need to make it easier on them.
Mm-hmm. And don't get us wrong here on this podcast. We're all fans of Kyler Murray and we want him to have success. And we understand that he's not clearly his level of play has to grow in order for this team to have success. And there should be no Cardinal fan that accepts the way that 16-22 looks nice, but I need you to be 20-20. I need you to be a 20-27 with some of those with 4 extra completions for first downs, touchdowns, all the other stuff. Like I need you to be a little bit. I need you to elevate your play better because again, we don't want you to play hero ball. And I don't think I think everybody likes the idea of Kyler Murray in this type of offense, but you need to factor in the old stuff that also made Kyler Murray so good. Like Shaw mentioned, it's a balance of finding the exact things. You need to be able to utilize his legs, utilize quick routes, utilize quick passing. I mean, we remember DeAndre Hopkins' first game against San Francisco. There was like 8 passes that went to him on a 5-yard hitch, and he just made a play and got a first down. A nice little drag route that he took for about 40 yards, almost for a touchdown. I don't like those plays. They have to be drawn. I love Kyler Murray saying that. Yeah, I listened to the scheme. Drew's a mastermind. To me, he don't really seem like a mastermind, but it is what it is. So it's like I need them to find a perfect mesh of everything that works together, and that's the only way that this offense will have its own success. And like she mentioned it, I was gonna say it on this podcast today. Like there seems to be, like, so far through the first quote unquote quarter of the season, we've seen an extreme high from this offense. We've seen an extreme low, and then we've also kind of seen like a middle point, which me personally, I think is like the middle point is like Buffalo first half, where it's a good mix of ground and pound, a little bit through the air, and then success. That's how you find success there. Like it's a nice little middling point, but you need to be able to find that middling point consistently for 4 quarters in a football game, because it gets no easier until the bye. And again, where we expect this team to be at within 8 weeks of this season, that's the determining factor if this team will actually be a playoff team. We know this defense is dog shit. And again, this defense is put in positions where they have to go back out in the field after giving up a 10-yard drive, and their offense is 3 and out. Like, that doesn't help anybody on that defense. So this offense has to understand that you are the mantle of this football team so far. Like, until they either make a trade, until the season just ends and they add more players into that defense, this offense has to carry the mantle. And I love JG as a defensive head coach. I love him as a CEO, but you got to understand that this is the way that this team is going to win football games, is by putting up fucking points. You cannot sugarcoat the offense. You can't play the slow snail ball when you have a defense the way it is. Like, because that slow snail ball, all it takes is one of those run plays to get blown up on first or second down. All it takes is one incompletion, and then you're punting the ball again. Like, it just, to me, and then also the amount of third and one, 4th and 1 passes that I saw. What are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
You have Kyler's legs. You got to use them.
You have his legs. You have a 200 and something pound running back. Like, you have a playmakers on the outside that you can just run something of anything. Like,
you got to be confident on the left side of your line and just ram Connor up the gut. Like,
exactly. And again,
you got to play the smash mouth football in that regard. Otherwise, it's right back to Cliff Kingsbury, 3rd and 4th. One in the shotgun. It's just bullshit. Like, you gotta. It's the X's and O's. It's the simple things. Like, I don't know. A couple, like, I wanted to say too, like, just real quick. There's someone I want you guys to guess if you can. There's someone that I was extremely high on. I thought he was an extremely important offseason signing. I said at one point that he was my like number 1 or somewhere in that range of important offseason extensions. And this guy, in my opinion, has been horrible this year after signing an extension. It's not like an obvious one, I don't think. But I wonder if you guys could guess who I'm talking about.
You're not talking about Froholt, are you?
No.
I feel like you're talking about somebody on the defensive side of the ball.
Special teams.
The goddamn punter. Yeah. Dude, that goddamn punter. He can't punt for shit now.
He's been awful, bro. Awful.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, like, when we're back
punts. Yeah,
dude,
he's not.
Like,
exactly.
Just get a foot on it and just absolutely bury the ball. I don't even care if you kick it 65 yards into the end zone. Like, you can't be trying to get cute and, like, just pushing these balls out of bounds at, like, the 40. Like, it's
and I feel like it's simple on defense.
Oh, you got to make that point for me. Hold on, redo your point.
Oh, my bad.
Chopping up a little bit. Now you got.
Oh, damn.
I'll let you know when you're back in. Should be. Thought you was good. All right, there you go. There you go now.
Okay. No, I was just saying that like it's just backwards to me that like we get so like we keep it vanilla on defense, right? Like just quarters coverage, just don't try anything, don't be aggressive. But special teams, oh, you want to get cute with the kickoff. You want to get cute with the punts. Just kick the shit out the ball.
Right.
Like, like keep it simple on special teams. Like you hurt yourself in the foot more with special teams than you with defense. Like it's just so backwards to me. Like
Yeah.
I just wish I agree with you, Jake. I just wish they would just cut the ball and just like kick it out into.
Yeah, it's been like a lot of I feel like I've seen a ton of like it seems like Gilligan's trying to kick the ball like 1,000 feet straight up into the air, and then these guys are getting crazy returns, and they like anytime we get backed up, they're starting in plus territory off of like a 20+ yard return. So Jeff Rogers got to figure it out because special teams has been honestly a huge weakness in my opinion.
Sure, you might have to drop and come back up for me. It's not letting you talk your shit this week for some reason. Commanders have taken over our stream and running with it this week. But any more points offensively that we think how we can get back on track this week and just overall just finding ourselves our balance again and it's a tough matchup this week. I think I saw something where let me drop him and then bring him up. All right, there we go.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah, my bad. I don't know what's going on.
All right, good. No worries. Just before we get into defense, because I know Dana just left a comment about defense as well. Offensively, just anything that we think we can get to this week when it comes to playing the San Francisco 49ers. I think I just saw something that said Nick Bosa has more pressures than our entire football team. We'll get into defense. But yeah, like where can this team find success? I know obviously that the 49ers are missing Javon Hargrave in the middle. Fred Warner is dealing with a bum ankle. They still don't have the other linebacker. I can't think of his name right now. Whatever his name is, the dirty
Greenlaw?
guy. Yeah, Dre Greenlaw, he's still out for them. So they've supplemented with Devondre Campbell of all people. Us Cardinals fans remember Devondre Campbell and his success here. Wink, wink. But where can this team find success? I mean, you had Marvin going against a top corner in Charvarius Ward. I still like Marvin in that matchup regardless. But is it just this has to be a game where you can stick to the run? Because I'm afraid you stick to the run this game, it doesn't work out. You're punting the ball and then you're giving up basically 7 points just like that. So I would love to see him air it out this week. How many passing attempts have we seen Kyler Murray go over 30 passing attempts this year so far, regardless win or loss? Like I personally don't. Yeah, I personally don't know if he's really aired it out that much. I would love to see him air it out, just getting the ball to perimeter, making the 49ers run sideline to sideline, because that's how you tire out a defense. Right. Running, if you can make them run sideline to sideline for a half second, is when the runs up the middle are even easier, right? So, what do you guys feel? I'll put the comments up from Dana, but you guys offensively, what do you think could be a success point against a tough 49ers defense still?
Yeah, Corey, I feel like you mentioned something earlier about, we all think Kyler Murray can be successful in this offense, but dude, I honestly don't even know what that means anymore. I feel like this offense needs to find an identity. And going back to what we were talking about last week and weeks before, like not playing in the preseason, I think we're still kind of seeing the team like getting their footing as far as just like what kind of team we want to be, how we want to run the offense, how we want to run the defense. And it's frustrating. Like I would like to find an identity and stick to it. I don't know. Go back and watch what we did against the Rams, I guess, and just try to replicate that. Obviously, not every game is going to look like that, but you gotta be able to find consistency in the success that you've seen. I don't like this like different offense every game. Like I feel like we're trying that in practice. So I'd like to just commit to like one type of identity, and I'd like to see Petzing just be also more creative. Like
yes.
I wrote down my notes, like I really want to start seeing more motion. I think we're like bottom of the league in moving guys around, which is just like it's just dumb. It's like I'm trying to think of like an analogy. It's like moving guys around. It's only a benefit. It's going to confuse the defense. It's going to make them think twice about things. If everyone's just set at the line, like it's too easy for guys to match up and stick to their primary assignment. So I'd really like to start seeing some more guys in motion. You got to feed Marv. And I think it's going to be big getting Trey back. I honestly feel like he's like the unsung hero of the team at this point, just in terms of.
Is he back? Is he out of concussion protocol?
He's not yet.
Well, I thought he had a full practice today, and he basically was like I thought he was saying he's basically good to go for this weekend. So outside
really?
All right, bet.
I thought I saw that he didn't practice today. That's great to hear. So
he was out there today.
Okay, all right, cool. See, that's huge. Like just like Corey, as you had mentioned earlier, like just being that security blanket, and not even that. Like the guy can make like insane catches. He plays with a high motor, maybe the highest in the team outside of like Buddha. So I'd like to see him back, and then also just like being like a 1B type of pass catcher on our team. Just the coverage that he draws and the mismatches, I think will help him to help us, and then also free up other guys. Yeah, and also too, like let's feed JC again. I know he went over 100. It was kind of like some like garbage time runs, but like the guy's a beast. He's ready to go. So yeah, let's just get creative. Like mix it up. Throw some different looks at him. Maybe try like a flea flicker. I don't know. You gotta change it up a little bit. Put the defense. Yeah. Start getting them in their head early in the game, because those boys in San Fran think they're just gonna roll out there on the field and absolutely destroy us. So let's try to shake it up.
Agree with you. So how about you, offense this week? Like, what can you see? What do you want to see happen this week? Obviously, you want to see a win, but how can they find that success this week?
I feel like in the past we've had our most success against the Niners when Kyler's actually running against them. Like I feel like they've kind of consistently struggled with dealing with him running the football. So I mean, one rushing attempt last week, like that has to change to me if we want any chance of kind of winning this game. Yeah. So getting him involved in the run game, and I see like Dana mentioned just in general the offensive line not getting pushed in the run game. She says, they're getting pushed back when not pulling. I've seen the same thing. Like when we just need just a regular, like, I don't know, 3 yards for the first down or 2nd and 3, we can't just go out there and muscle some guys off the line of scrimmage. I feel like that needs to change in order for us to have success this game also. And then outside of that, like spam Marv, spam him early and spam him and spam him after that. You know what I'm saying? Like don't just like get him the ball in the first quarter. Like I don't know, man. Like I watched the Giants play and I watched Malik Neighbors, and I'm not trying to compare Neighbors and Marv, but I watched Neighbors get 16 targets, and it's just like you can see how when you make somebody like Marv a focal point, the defense has to adjust just because of how you're using him. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if they see like, hey, like Marv is getting all these targets, like that's going to open up stuff for other people, even if he's not getting the ball. I mean, I guess you said earlier, Drew Petzing says he doesn't want it to seem like he's just force feeding one person. But if they think that you're doing that, then it just opens up things for everybody else. So like, we haven't put that on film yet. I would love to see like some type of, game plan centered around him, and for it to last not just in the first quarter, but throughout the game.
Yeah, you boys made great points, and I couldn't agree more. I just want to find, like, I think that's the biggest word of this week is identity. Like, I think a lot of fans thought that they knew the identity of this team after the season went on last year when Kyler got back, and you thought it was building up after that Rams game, and it's kind of gone downhill since then. So you just want to find it. You want to find where this team is going to be at and what they can hang their head on offensively. And again, as we mentioned, this offense is going to be the reason why this team has success. So if they don't have an identity, you're going to find yourself in a lot of holes going throughout the season. And before we switch over to defense, Dana left another comment mentioned about the Evan Brown and Froho gap has been the least successful for Connor so far this year. I like to see that cleaned up as the rest of Connor's options for lanes have had success. So Evan Brown has played pretty decently. Froho also played pretty decently. Apparently, Paris Johnson is one of the highest graded, tackles in the NFL. I think he was 9th.
Paris has been balling.
So he's been very good. So like again, that's like the sucky part about analyzing this team right now is like things look good when you look at the numbers, and then you're 1-3 because your offense falters in the second half of a game in Buffalo, and they can't find their rhythm against Detroit, and then they go out there and lay a stinker versus Washington. It's just, even if there's not a win this weekend, if you find an offensive identity, I think a lot of fans can find comfort in that and then understand, because I think a lot of fans just want to say, we want to be able to blame somebody. And I hate that's fan culture and how it goes, but you want to be able to blame somebody. And it's so much easier to say the front office and the personnel choices is what fails you outside of your players that are on the field. And I don't think anybody wants to say that Kyler and his offense is failing his team, but we knew what the defense was. Obviously, it's not 42 points. You don't want to see 42 points bad, but you knew what this defense was. You knew they'd give up a lot of points to good offenses, but you want to see this offense humming and clicking in all cylinders. So let's get back on track, boys. Let's not let this offensive performance in this game define the season, because it can't define the season. There's still 12, 13 more games to play, I believe. So you can find yourself completely 1,000%. She also mentions, I thought that's coming up there for sure, we should be designing more plays that either go to Marv or force the opposition to leave a weakness in behind them. And that shot is exactly what you mentioned right there. So, just finding ourselves. Switching over to the defense, we will not spend a long time. I'll take this mask off because I knew they already were. They didn't rob me. We just knew what that was. As you see, my underline, #PlayRabbit. We'll get into that one. Defensively, a joke. Nick Rallis, a joke. I don't know what exactly you chose as the game plan versus Jaden Daniels. Again, he's a rookie. He's mobile. You got beat by a mobile quarterback, Josh Allen, running all around in week 1. So if that was your game plan to say 3 and rush and tackle, why are my corners 8 yards off the ball every play? You tell me that, Nick Rallis. I want to understand that, because I literally watched Jaden Daniels. He made probably 2 throws the entirety of the game. It was the one to Luke McCaffrey over the middle around the end of the game, and it was the one to Terry McLaurin where it was like a deep comeback or something like that. Everything else was about 5 to 10 yards, barely past the line of scrimmage, and the guy just was wide open, and he could just dump it off to him and make a play there. And or you're rushing 3-4 players, and you let him just cleanly escape out the pocket and just run for a couple yards. And guys, I don't know if they knew this or not. I watched it from ASU to LSU. He's pretty fast. So when you got 3 defensive linemen out there, they're not going to catch him. There's literally zero contain, as she just mentioned. That's exactly what I was just about to go to. There is zero contain when it comes to this defense. The amount of base personnel that we were in, I'm trying to figure out why I saw 3 defensive linemen on the field so many times. Yes, Cliff Kingsbury is fooling you with that 3 tight end look. He's not he's not choosing to run the football. He's going to actually pass it or play action. So again, if your D line is so depleted, why do I consistently see 3 defensive linemen on the field? And 3 rushers, maybe 4 rushers. Again, Buddha's blitzes are so telegraphed. It was beyond me how telegraphed it was to see him come. The blitz comes from that side. Jaden throws that side. First down. Commanders continue to move the ball. I don't know if they underestimated him as a rookie. I don't know if they just thought. I don't know if they thought Cliff just wasn't going to draw up some offense. Because again, I don't. Both of I'm not a team non-Cliff, but at the same time, the guy knows how to coach offense. A guy knows how to draw up offensive plays. That is something that he knows how to do. His problem here personally was that they caught him at the wrong times, but they know how to draw offensive plays up. Like it just felt like there was no preparation for this week when it came to the defensive scheme, the defensive game plan, just allowing receivers to run wide open across the field. We'll get into Rabbit and Jalen Thompson and stuff like that. But defensively, again, we kind of knew performances like this were going to happen. You didn't want to see against a rookie happen because now it's on tape. So now veteran quarterbacks like a Brock Purdy, as we go on, Geno Smith, all the quarterbacks that we play going forward, we'll see that and kind of hopefully want those type of looks to be given to them so they can have success. But and again, the completion percentage that quarterbacks are having against this defense. Y'all know I mentioned the secondary. I thought it'd be a great unit. They can't be a great unit if they're 8 yards off the ball every play. They can't be a great unit if there's no competition at the line of scrimmage when they're going against wide receivers and tight ends. I'm tired of seeing defensive backs so far off the ball that they give up easy routes and it's a first down every time. Your front doesn't get that much push for them to have that type of success. Stop being afraid of the speed that you have at corner, because Sean Murphy Button's a pretty fast guy, even though he got beat by Noah Brown and then did the dumbest thing ever. Max Melton is very fast. Starlin Thomas is super fast, like one of the fastest guys on the team. The fact that you're not allowing them to play some type of bump and run coverage, is that what they see in practice? Is that what they know they can't do, or are you just not challenging these guys enough to do so? And I've been very disappointed in the secondary play. Just the amount of completion percentage allowed with this type of pass rush is just it's beyond disappointing. I would love to see changes made when it comes to how the corners and the DBs play receivers off the line of scrimmage. That's going to be the most telling thing overall. But defensively, we knew this pass rush was bad. Mack Wilson didn't have his best game. Kazir White has kind of been a ghost as the season's gone on. He's had a lot of tackles, but he's been very, very quiet. I have not felt his impact, not like I felt his impact when he first started the season last year with this football team. So, where does this defense go? I mean, again, another performance that we kind of thought that this team would give up. Obviously not to a rookie, but where do you guys see this defense going this for the rest of this season, honestly? Because that was a stinker. That was an absolute stinker.
Yeah, I feel like the defense is going to kind of go like up and down all year because we have seen them play well. And like I was out here last week saying how like impressed I was with the defense, and they just totally made me like eat my words this past Sunday. But to your point, it feels like shades of like the Vance Joseph defense, like playing this like soft zone, and we just like it's frustrating because it feels like it's like the Gannon and Rallis are calling this defense as if we have the personnel to like as if we have guys that can track down the pass catchers on these like short throws, and it's like very evident we don't. Like the most frustrating thing for me is like seeing like Dennis Gardeck like drop back in coverage and just seeing him get beat badly. Like Gardeck, he can get to the quarterback here and there, but he is such a slow guy, not twitchy, can't move laterally, and it's frustrating. Like you said, when you have the corners playing 8 yards back, just trying to watch these guys chase down just quicker athletes that are easily converting first downs, and when you're allowing that to happen, like it just opens everything else up. Like, so I totally agree with you, Corey. I would love to start seeing the DBs step up at the line of scrimmage because that's kind of how we have to play when you have like the worst D line in the league. It's frustrating too. Like you have a shitty D line, it's gonna make the corners look that much worse. So you gotta you have to do something to change that up because clearly what we've been doing has not been working, and it's making those guys look bad.
Yeah.
And Corey, I agree with you. I don't think they're all that bad. Melton looked fantastic, which is no surprise after seeing the success that he had in the Big Ten. So I'd like to see more of him. Murphy Bunting, dude, that play, like the 70-yard pass interference.
Which still shouldn't have been a pass interference in my eyes because the dude couldn't catch the ball.
Yeah, dude, I was gonna say
completely overthrown.
Right, completely overthrown. So like Murphy Bunting just has to be better at like knowing that ball is not catchable and just letting him go. He didn't have to dive and grab the guy's leg. So that was super frustrating. But also like I in that moment I was like, dude, like I feel like college does it right. Like this like dude, that was literally like 60 plus yards of pass interference. And it's just like it just seems so extreme, and that comes down to coaching. Like that's awful. Like the ball is clearly like skied. So let him make like an insane catch or just I don't know. You just can't get beat like that. But that was pretty brutal. So like honestly, and that was just after I was giving Murphy Bunting like praise on Twitter like days before. So that was pretty brutal. But yeah, man, we got to see someone step up. I honestly, like I said, I was watching on my phone, and as we were getting pummeled too, I wasn't watching like super, super closely, but I didn't think Mack Wilson was really out there. I thought he got like some sort of injury early and he wasn't really playing much, because I kept looking for number 2 and didn't really see him. But you were saying, Corey, that he was in and just not playing well.
Yeah, I thought he stepped into the tent one time, but I don't know if this game or the last game, but he was out there. I just felt like I didn't
Just not
feel his
present.
impact. Yeah, I just again, like it's just as Dana mentions, it's just she says Kaiser and Jalen are both not finding any success this year. In the cover three, Jalen is often not playing the deep zone and is getting burnt. Kaiser just never seems to have his eyes in the right spot. And if we're sticking to the point of the front seven and some of those linebackers, like Mac Wilson he's very good. It seems to be that he's very good at the line of scrimmage, whether that is at one of those outside linebacker spots, containing the edge at that point, filling gaps there. It's just when we take him off, when he becomes an off-ball linebacker, it's the thing. That's when I feel like I don't feel his presence enough. So I saw somebody mention it. I mean, do you dare swap him and Zaven Collins? You put Zaven Collins back at the off-ball linebacker position, let him come down because he's been a monster in the run game, except that's at the outside linebacker position. He's had massive success this year as the outside linebacker, especially in the run. But again, the sacks just aren't piling up there. His pressures aren't not getting there. And because he's not a pass rusher, like at the end of the day, he's not a pass rusher. I get that's what we're trying to make him to be, but he's not really a pass rusher. So it's just, I don't know. I think Mac Wilson is going to continue to have success on his team. And again, one bad game doesn't define any player. So it is what it is there. But they have a lot of choices to make when it comes to personnel and positions that they're putting people in, and they need to think about that a lot better this week. So, Shaw, go ahead. Defense, it wasn't pretty at all. What are they doing out there?
Yeah. Hopefully my connection still holds up. It's acting up again, but I don't know, man. Like you kind of mentioned, like they just kind of sat in base defense like all game, like and maybe they just, like you said, underestimated Jaden. Like, but I don't know. It's like they just thought like, hey, he's just gonna make a lot of mistakes. Which I mean, I know from watching him all the time, that's just not the type of player he is. He's either gonna tuck it down and run, or he's not gonna throw the ball. And the one mistake he did make, the guy was open. He just kind of overthrew him a little bit. I feel like if we're gonna do that though, we need to be faster up front. Like I feel like for the last, I don't know, 2-3 years, like we haven't had guys who can truly get like sideline to sideline up front, like on the defensive line. Like, I mean, Gardeck is not beating Jaden, or I mean, it's not that many people beating Jaden to the edge, but he's not getting close to tracking down Jaden, right? Like we are literally stand no chance when a mobile quarterback like Jaden, like Josh Allen, is taking off against us. And I feel like it should be swapped, like how you were saying, like the defense, I mean, the secondary kind of plays off. We don't let them really be aggressive, but the defensive line, we need to be aggressive and getting pressure at the quarterback and let have the secondary be aggressive and let the defensive line just kind of like, do their thing. Because if we're just gonna be chilling on both ends, then we're not gonna stop anybody. If we're just not getting pressure, blitzing or anything like that, we're not gonna stop anybody. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I truly feel like they should have done a little bit more when it came to personnel this offseason. Because going forward, I mean, I don't see any like clear avenue for it to get better. I mean, you have the guys that you have. Either you're going to let them play or you're not.
Yep.
Either you're going to let Starling Thomas and Max Melton go out there and like be aggressive in coverage, or you're not. Like, I don't know. I don't see too much changing as far as the defense. And yeah, I feel like we were kind of, well, at least I was kind of fooled with how they played second half against Detroit, thinking that could maybe transfer over throughout the course of the season. But right now, I mean, I'm with you. Like, we're gonna have to win games with our offense. Like, there's not gonna be any game for the most part that we're gonna win just solely on defense. Like, maybe we can get some turnovers here and there, but even then, like, we have playmakers, but you're not putting them in positions to make plays. You're not giving them the opportunity to make the plays. So, I don't know.
Well, I mean, if I remember correctly, you used three of your 4 third-round picks on offensive players. 1 who isn't playing, 2 who is a blocking tight end, 3 who's the third running back on the depth chart, in my opinion.
He's not playing.
Exactly. Not playing.
Might as well not say. Yeah.
You could have used 2 out of those 4, 3 out of those 4 on a defensive front player. Again, the draft is a crapshoot. We all know that. So is free agency. We talked about Justin Jones, no longer, playing this season. Jonah Williams, who I didn't get to when we were talking about offense, likely probably not playing this year. Those are 2 free agency ads that are now duds for the 2024 season. And Jonah Williams, I think, was only on a 2-year deal. So next year he'll be in a contract year if he does come back this season. I mean, I don't really understand the purpose of taking so many offensive players. Like, again, if you thought that the draft last year was just so offensive heavy and, quote unquote, it's where the board, what player may fall to us on the board and let the board speak to us. It's all gibberish when the season starts because we clearly need defensive talent. And it's not there. Defense, especially up front in the defensive line, it's not there. And I just feel badly for Gannon, Rollis, because they don't have the personnel, they don't have the horses to call certain things. So I'm asking them to change their personnel wise, and I'm asking them to change their scheme wise when they might like to play a little bit off to let just the front guys go to work. When you can't really do that now because I'm tired of giving up 5-yard passes that go for 8-yard, 9-yard runs at first downs because this front 4 can't even get off of a block in less than 2 seconds. Like it's massively frustrating to see. It's so upsetting that we didn't do more on that side of the ball this year. And again, I don't put expectations on them because of Kyler Murray's contract. I don't think that's Gannon's fault. I don't think that's Monty's fault. That contract was given to a player before they acquired the team. So I don't blame them for like doing their process on how that comes along. But at the same time, you need some type of player, something there, and we don't have anything there. Justin Jones is now gone. D-Rob, his window didn't open up this week, which means he's much further along, which means to me that the people that were there that were saying that it was a catastrophic quote-unquote injury and that he may be done for not the season, but for a long time, they seem like a lot of right people. They tried to come out there and immediately after it happened and said, oh, they shouldn't have said anything. Gannon did his he's not happy about it getting out. But clearly, it's probably more than a calf. It probably is the same along the same lines of what Joe Burrow had last year, even though he fought through it. Maybe what McCaffrey's dealing with, maybe not to the level of Achilles tendonitis, but a deep, deep calf strain for a big person like that can cripple them for a couple weeks. And now it's going to be looking like you may not see him until after the bye, especially if his window doesn't open up next week, you may not see him until after the bye. And that's going to be very, very hurtful for this defense. And I will say, because you kind of broke it down with like the draft picks and stuff like that. I mean, this defense, now I'm thinking about it, like, if I say that this defense looks like a defense that's missing a first round pick and a second round pick, you probably be like, yeah, that's what it looks like. And we are like, I mean, BJ's out for the year, obviously, so he's not coming back to help us. But our only saving grace is Darius Robinson comes in and looks like a first round like stud. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that is some level of optimism. Is it likely? No, but I don't know. I mean, I guess there's some optimism there with that. Yeah. She mentioned that Gardeck is probably the fastest on the offense, fastest outside linebacker on the team. The rest of them run a 4.7 or worse, and that is costing us.
Which I love Gardeck.
Trouble. Like
I love Gardeck, but at the same time, like, we've had him on this team in this starting role for the past like 2-3 years. It's not a winning formula for a defense. I love you, Gardeck, but
for real,
he doesn't deserve it.
No, man, nah.
So, I mean, Jake, anything else for the defense that you had? Just anything that you want to see? I mean, I know I was going to mention it. Jalen Thompson, I just want to pull up a few stats. Jalen Thompson has been one of the better players when his team was really bad. And it's hurtful to see this. Like, Kyle Odegaard put it out. Targets, he has 11 targets against him, 10 completions. He's given up 175 yards, almost 16 yards per target, a touchdown, and a passer rating of 150 almost. Where is the Jalen Thompson that I was told that is, or that I've seen on tape that has been a really good slot cornerback when needed, a really good sticky guy in coverage? He has been letting dudes run all over him. And the route that he got beat by Luke McCaffrey, that literally McCaffrey just ran up on him and hit him with a quick in cut, and he didn't. It's like he reacted a half second, almost a second slow after McCaffrey made his in cut, and he wasn't there anymore. It's just like, what happened to the player I knew was really good at coverage? So you see my underlining #PlayRabbit. If you're going to sit there and tell me that Garrett Williams, because Garrett Williams' pick came when he was playing safety, he bumped backwards from Buda Baker came up, he bumped back, and they basically played a cover two, and he was a safety role in that position, and he was back there. I would love to just see, you rotate defensive backs in here and there, and Jalen Thompson's a leader on this football team. He's done great things for this football team, but you need players to make impacts. Rabbit, I think he could have a chance to make an impact. Why? Because he's very sticky in coverage. He takes the ball away. He tackles. And the main thing for me with Jalen Thompson and why I want to see him lose reps, that effort that he gave against McNichols on that touchdown, that first one, that's not it, bro. That was Antonio Hamilton levels of letting, whoever that was when we were in Mexico, just letting him walk past him. He didn't even try to tackle him. He literally didn't even try to tackle him. I don't know what I've seen Jalen Thompson come up and stick dudes. He didn't try to tackle him.
And that's what I was talking about with effort, man. Like, and did anybody chew him out? I don't know. Like,
probably not.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
probably not.
I don't know, man. The effort was just not there this week, and it was just annoying to watch, bro.
So again, like Rab is a rookie. I mean, I follow him on Instagram. I see all his posts. He's waiting his turn. He is ready for his time and his moment. And at a certain point, if it continues to look bad, you want to play all these rookies. You want development plan. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens when he goes out there. It's just that was just really frustrating for me to see because I really thought Jalen Thompson would be one of the main pillars of this defense, and he's almost been one of the more crippling factors of it so far this season. So, Jake, like I said, do you have anything on defense before we close it out?
Honestly, not too much. There's really not much to say. It was an awful performance. Just frustrating to watch. I almost wonder if Jalen's playing like injured because.
Yeah, me too. I was going to say the same thing.
You're totally right. Like he was right up there with like following Buda's lead as far as like being a hard hitting safety. And dude, he must have had 4 interceptions last year. Like he was all over the place. So either he just got really old really fast, or I mean, obviously that's not the case. So he must be playing with something like some kind of injury. And the same thing like with that like missed tackle basically, like where he just like that dude. That was awful. That was like, dude. I feel like I even might have been able to make a better attempt there, just like throwing my body on the line. Dude. That was just like dude, that was like old Cardinals. That was so sad to see, and kind of just like summed up the effort all the way across. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of ready to flush that. I did want to say, have you guys seen how Tavondre Sweat's been playing this year?
Pretty decently.
Yeah, crazy.
Pretty nice.
They can't run the ball against him at all.
Yeah, bro. He looks like 2 men in one. Like he's so I just figured I'd throw that out there. Darius Robinson better be a stud. Yeah, I don't know. Really, really excited to get him back. Obviously, like I mean, you saw all this like hype in camp and everything about how like no one can guard him and all this stuff. How impressed they were. So that injury was just like really just piss poor luck. Obviously with Ojulari already being out. So. Yeah, hopefully maybe they open the practice window next week and can get him going because we really, really, really need a spark. And honestly, we just need some meat up there. Like we need a big guy that can just disrupt the game for the other team. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say. Excited to discuss a little bit of San Fran here before we wrap up.
Yeah, Dana mentioned it real quick. She said I would say the biggest issue on defense I see against the run is block shedding, and as an extension of that is the extra effort to force the refs to give the holding call. And I agree 1,000%. Guys get hands into their shoulder pads, or guys get hands into their breastplate area on the shoulder pads, and they kind of just give up. They kind of just wall up right there and think that's it with a play. And you got to give a little bit more effort than that. But Law Nichols, you were given money. Can I see some effort? Can I see any type of effort from you going forward throughout this rest of the season? Roy Lopez, great locker room guy, Arizona guy. I need more effort. I need more effort up front from everybody up there. Because that's the only way. Like effort effort wins anything. The effort gives you a chance in any standpoint or whatever you do. Work, playing football, whatever, any hobby. You give effort, we'll see. You let the chips fall where they may right there. So I need to see that type of effort next week. And again, you're going against a tough offense, as Jake kind of we transition straight into San Fran real quick before we head out. Like, you're going against a very tough offense that loves to run the ball. But as we know, they have like 7 plays they run. They just run them in different formations and different looks. So again, you're going to get run plays. Jordan Mason's going to run at you. Are you going to choose to wall up and falter, or are you going to choose to fight back? Is my opinion in the run. So go ahead, Jake. Talk to me about San Fran. What you're thinking about this game going forward, and can the Cardinals pull off a dub?
Yeah, so I do want to mention too. I actually fully agree with Dana there. As far as like, I tend to watch. Watch out for the holding calls like pretty closely, and it does feel like we've honestly been robbed like this whole season.
It was 3 holding calls on the Commanders' first drive that were not called. That literally walked them down for that zone.
There were so many holding calls in that game, but I will say, like, to Dana's credit, like, we do a terrible job at selling them. Like, you're seeing the holding calls when a guy throws his hands up and like is making it very known that he's being held, and it does seem like our guys just like you said, Corey, just like stop. They're just like, well, you can't expect the refs to see it, and we're the last team that the refs are looking to give calls to, so you got to totally sell that and like take a page from the NBA's playbook and really just sell that, because we're just not getting holding calls. And I've seen a ton this year that have gone uncalled. So, and that's coaching too, man. Like, you got to coach them up on that, because that effort has been awful. And we have been held. Like, you got to sell it. You have to make it known. So yeah, there's that. But then as far as like San Fran, like, yeah, we're a 7.5 point dog. We're going on the road. I'm almost happy that we're going on the road just to like we've been embarrassed so many times, and I honestly do take it as a personal embarrassment. Like, whenever I see that like an away crowd is taking over the stadium, like I sometimes feel as if I'm a part of the team, and it's embarrassing, bro. And it's like I like look at it, I'm like, how do like some of these young stars like Marv feel about that? Like, it's just brutal to see. So I'm kind of ready to just flush the homestand, get out to San Fran, just change the atmosphere a little bit. Kyler, I feel like, is notorious for, like, at least in my mind, like having some special performances on the road. So,
sure.
Yeah, man, I'm just hoping that the Niners just assume that we're the same old Cardinals after what they saw last week. And I'm hoping like JG and Kyler and the entire defense took last week extremely personal and just want to win. Like, we've heard him say, like, we know what this team can do, like what the ceiling is, wants to win Super Bowls. Like, let's start to see that mentality a little bit more. And like any given day in the NFL, like you saw the Rams and the Vikings beat the Niners this year. They're clearly playing undermanned. They're exploitable. So let's get to Purdy. And I don't know, dude. I feel like weirdly good about Purdy throwing like 2 interceptions. I don't know why. I just feel like sometimes he just starts slinging the ball around, and I'm hopeful that like JT can kind of just like put us at ease a little bit and pluck one of those out of the air. Maybe Garrett Williams too. Like, he's clearly proven to be that guy. Hoping to see some more Max Melton, and I hope the offense can just look like that solid offense from the start that we've seen a couple times this year. So.
I'm right there with you, Shot. This game, I mean, we won't be favored in this game or going forward probably in a couple games. But, how are you looking forward to this Niners game, and what type of competition can we provide? Can we give them on Sunday?
We're getting real close to that must-win territory. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I don't want to overreact from last game. But in this game, I wouldn't categorize it as a must win, but we're getting real close to it if we start stacking up L's.
This game is a must compete. You gotta just be
must compete. Yes. Yes. Yeah, you have to be better than what you were last week. Well, you gotta be better than what you were last week just so you don't get blown out again, which I feel like that should be enough motivation for the team. Like, hey, we don't want to get embarrassed like how we got embarrassed again. But man, the effort has to be there. And it's like, yeah, it's San Fran. Like, I know overall they have better talent than us. So
They're
like, if we
beatable.
lose the game, like it is what it is. But I just don't want to see us losing the game. And it's like we've been talking about, you're not giving effort.
Mhm.
And that's not just effort from the players. It's effort from the coaching staff and the play calling, all that stuff. Like, if we're sitting there if we're down by 14 and we're not being aggressive on defense, like, what are we out there doing? You know, like, or we're not being aggressive on offense. What are we out there doing? So the body language, I'm looking at all of that for next week, to see how they respond from this game. But look, everything I've seen from JG up until this point has been how his teams have been coached. They respond after typically getting, you know what I'm saying, losing or having a bad outing. Like, they respond pretty well. So I'm pretty confident we're gonna go out there and compete. Like 7.5, I'd take us for the spread. As far as winning the game, I don't know. I don't know, man. I just need to see some confidence from them to give myself some confidence.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
It's going to start on the ground. The Niners haven't been great defending the run this year. Like I said, they lost Javon Hargrave. I don't know how long he's out, but he's not going to be playing on Sunday, I believe. So if you're able to run the ball, utilize the clock. Obviously, the best defense for this defense so far is having a really good offense, and just controlling time possession. And I want to see us get back to converting third downs. I mean, been terrible on third down the last 2 games after being great on third down the first 2 games. So I need to see us get back to third down conversions, having successful third down conversions. Don't put yourself behind the sticks too much. Obviously, Nick Bosa is going to make a play. Fred Warner is going to make a play. I need James Conner to run Huafonga into the dirt. We don't forget you, Huafonga. Whatever you did, whatever you said to James Conner, and James Conner is a good guy. James Conner has battled cancer. James Conner is a cancer survivor. He doesn't just go out there picking fights with people. So you must have said something crazy. So now I hope, you find the bottom of his palm and you find yourself in the dirt this coming Sunday. But, just playing with some passion, playing with some heart, and showing some emotion, show some fire. Like you mentioned, you guys mentioned about JG. Let's show a little bit of emotion outside of celebrating success. Like, let's just show, like, get the guys riled up. Say you do go down 10 points, get the guys riled up. Like, show some emotion, show some heart, show some fight. Because again, you win this game. Yeah, you only have 2 wins on the season, but more importantly, you have 2 wins in division. You're 2-0 in the division. Yep. You already have more wins in division this year than you had last year. I don't know how the hell you got that thumb to go down.
That thumb be popping up.
That thumb just popped up. The ghost just thumbed me down. Okay.
But yeah, like you were saying, Corey, like, you win this game and you still control, like, your destiny to the playoffs. Like, you haven't played Seattle yet. You beat Seattle, guess what? You're number 1 in the division. Like, yeah.
So I mean, again, a win here, you find yourself 2-0 in the division. The 49ers will also be 2-3. The Rams are now 1-3 as well. So, but they're 1-1 in the division. So it'll just be the game is open for us to find a way to win, but you have to find a way to win. It's not going to be easy. They're not going to give it to you. They're going to be hungry to get there first, because obviously they're 1-1 in division, right? So they're going to want to get their first division win as well. So that's why maybe I'd look at it as they will not take as lightly as the quote-unquote St. Louis Cardinals, because they're fighting for their first division win as well. But, hopefully they do come a little bit lapse and they kind of had a bad week of practice, or guys don't practice enough and they're not quite in shape for Sunday, stuff like that. That'll be the best way that we can convert a W for this weekend. Dan had mentioned the Niners injuries have left the door open, but we have to capitalize exactly. We need to avoid Fred Warner and not make Isaac Yiadom look like a real cornerback while looking halfway competent on D. So,
bro,
I've heard a lot about Yiadom.
Fred Warner has been looking like the defensive player of the year, yo. Like, he's been balling out.
For sure. Yeah. So you want to get him moving sideline to sideline and keep him away from the play where the play is actually going, and attack that cornerback group. It's still a young group out there. Bernardo Green, I believe, is a rookie, if not in his second year. And then she mentioned Yiadom. I've heard a lot about Yiadom not playing well. So let's look to attack their group. Remember Michael Wilson and his quote-unquote home coming back to Stanford, back into the Bay Area, had a great game last year in San Francisco. So let's see if we can get him popping off a little bit, see if we can get Greg Dortch popping off a little bit. Let's attack our mismatch. I believe their number 2 or number 3 linebacker to field. So if that's Devondre Campbell versus Trey McBride, I think that should be some success there. I think Fred Warner is going to be looking to play more of the spy role versus Kyler Murray inside the pocket. I think you'll see a lot of 4-man rush, Fred Warner spies, and it'll be a mix-up in the coverage in the back end, whether it be man, zone, whatever the case may be. So it'll come down to Kyler deciphering that and taking advantage of what he can take advantage of. So I'm not going to give a score prediction. I don't want to be let down. I'm just going to see what happens with this team and overall just hope for the best on Sunday. That's really all we can hope for at this point. So go ahead.
I definitely don't want to give a score prediction either.
After last week, it scars you a little bit on score predictions because literally I'm like, all right, well, 20 points is a good amount for the Commanders. That don't mean that they showed up success and they had a little bit of success. They put a double that.
Right.
So it's crazy.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you boys too. I got Kyler and I got Daniels in fantasy. It's like I've played Kyler every week, but is it time to throw Daniels in there? Like I don't know, man. It's kind of hard to keep riding Kyler when he's putting up 9 points.
I hate being a hater, right? But I am one. So let's talk about it. Like Daniels, like they have to be due for some type of regression in me. Like Cleveland Browns are a pretty good defense. That's who they play next week. They're coming home. They've been on the road. I don't think they went home after that Cincinnati game. I think they flew straight out to Arizona.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken. So they haven't quote unquote been home in 2 weeks. And whatever it is for them, they haven't been home in 2 weeks outside of this practice week. So I just think they're due for a regress game when it comes down to the mean because he's completing almost 85% of his passes. That has to come down to the mean a little bit, especially against those Browns corners that are going to be physical. Emerson, Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, those guys are going to be physical at the line of scrimmage. They're not going to allow Zacchaeus and Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin might still go it off a little bit. Zach Ertz, those guys aren't going to get off as much as play. And before I finish my point, Zach Ertz, please just shut the hell up.
Dude.
Just shut the hell up. What did he say? What did he say?
At the end of the field, you could tell he kind of had a little bit of frustration coming off the field. At the end of the game, he's like, I don't know if he said ass whooping or whatever he says or whatever he said at the end of the thing. I forgot the exact quote. Yeah. Zach Ertz, shut the hell up.
You suck.
Nobody cares about you in Arizona. Nobody cares about your time here.
Right.
You were a wash in the past. We added you because we lost somebody else. You weren't the first choice. Remember that. And thank God that you're gone because we wouldn't have understood our blessing in disguise, which was Trey McBride. So please shut the hell up. You're a journeyman. You're on your last straw because you and Cliff, you guys like to have dinner together. No, we're done. Say goodbye. Hopefully you have finish your career off nicely. I hope when you play the Eagles, they look to absolutely kill you. But yeah. So like, I forgot what I was saying. Zach Ertz, he pissed me off. But yeah,
you're talking about Jaden and Kyler.
Oh yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think they're due for a little bit of regression, personally, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I would go with Jaden though. I'd go with Jaden. I feel like fantasy wise, like he's gonna be running the ball.
Yep.
Even if they can't pass it. And with us, honestly, like right now, like it's just a huge question mark over Drew Petzing and what we're gonna do. You don't know. At least I feel like we don't know what type of game plan it's going to be. I know with Cliff, Jaden's going to run the ball. And he's going to at least be able to get the ball and some dink and dunks to some guys. They might make some plays. They might not. But you got the running, the floor for the running.
Mm-hmm. I'm leaning towards playing Jaden and just watching this game purely as a fan. I don't even know if I'm going to bet it, which would be like the first time in like years that I haven't outside of like when we were eliminated last year. But yeah, man, I just want to be pleasantly surprised and just watch this game as a fan and just hope that we can get right. I don't know, man. Something's got to change. If we're able to win at San Fran and go 2-0 in the division, then honestly, like if it was like a choice that had to be made, get to 2-2 and beat the Commanders and then get smoked by the Niners, or get smoked by the Commanders and then go in and beat the Niners in San Fran, like I feel like I would take that to get to 2-0 in the division. And then like you're really feeling like, all right, like we just got to get consistent and we can hang with teams. But yeah, this would be probably the best win of the JG era if we can pull this one off. I think it's a huge game. Like coming off that performance and just looking to right the ship, and it would just instill so much confidence in the locker room too, like feeling like, all right, like we got something here, and maybe then Monty like decides to like check out the market one more time as far as like looking to add, because you get to 2-0 the division, and it's kind of opens everything up. I still feel like Seattle is a little bit of pretenders, had like the easiest 3-0 route we've ever seen. Weren't really that competitive with the Lions. I know there were some tough calls, but like Lions kind of had their way with them. That Seattle defense is nothing special. So, and then you're just waiting for Geno Smith to turn back into a pumpkin. So, if we could pull this one off, it's gonna be much different podcast next week. So,
for sure. If we win this week, I mean, we did our preseason predictions. Majority of, I think all of us, I don't know, Corey, if we got your predictions that podcast, but had us 2-3 at this point. But none of us had us 2-0 in the division.
right.
So if we do find a way to win this game, we're on track in terms of what we thought the season would go like. But
Right.
honestly, even a little bit better because we're 2-0 in the division. So that puts us in a better position to for playoffs and stuff like that. So
absolutely,
I
was just gonna say, I still think playoffs is possible. You gotta.
Oh yeah.
It's early in the season. You got to turn it around, though. I think if you can get to 9-8 the way this year is trending, like I feel like, especially like some big like division wins, like you're gonna be right in the mix. Let's just keep growing. Like where with Cliff's teams, we would start hot and then come down. Like let's try to just like keep getting better. You know what I mean?
Yep. That's what I try to tell Commanders fans. I mean, they're all in my mentions killing me, talking about this is a new day. It's fun now. It's always been fun now.
Right.
Halloween slowly is approaching, though,
Right.
friends. And that's the cutoff point for him in his career. So we'll see if it turns around for him. Congratulations on your win, though. We don't care. Dana Robinson, she also left us one more comment for us, said, still positive on the team long term. The majority of our draft picks are doing well. Glad the DU Kime era is over. But I need them to shut some of the noisemakers down this week, and I couldn't agree more. As we mentioned, it's a must compete, must show up, must have effort type of game this week. And you give me that, you let the chips fall where they may. At that point, I'm shaking your hand and I say good job. But again, at the end of the day, wins are the only thing that speaks in this league. And if you can't win football games, you can't sustain jobs, and that goes for everybody on the GM, head coach, every player that's on the roster. Got to win games. Got to find a way to win games. The Niners are a good team, but they've also found a way to lose a game versus a team that you absolutely punked and spanked with literally the same roster that they had. So outside of Cooper Kupp not starting the game, he started the game versus us. He didn't start the game versus them. So, and they went out there and found success, even though the Niners were up in that game, but they still found a way to lose that game. So obviously, you want to keep yourself inside of a striking distance and, see if you can take over from there. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sunday happened. It's over with. We're on Wednesday. It's literally a new week in my head. And so, ready to move on. So appreciate you boys. You guys have anything before we head out? Dana, appreciate you stopping through all the comments as well. Got anything before we head out today?
Just get right, man.
Yep.
Praying for the
best. Yeah. Seriously.
Right there with you. And hashtag play rabbit. Hashtag play rabbit.
Please.
All right. We will catch you guys next week after the 49ers game. Appreciate anybody that tuned in. And we will see you all next week.
Sounds good. Thanks, boys.
Catch y'all, boys.
Yes, sir. See you.